Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. Give everybody a minute to join. I see some people joining right now. While everyone's joining, I always like to ask if where everyone's tuning in from, and if it's your first time attending or if you're a repeat attender of our webinars. Hi, Devin, Danny, Christy. Got Perry from Boca Raton. I grew up in Boca Raton. I'm in the Bay Area at this moment right now. We have LA, Indiana, Alberta, Canada, Toronto. Yeah, I'm in the Bay Area as well, Kat. Netherlands. Oh, wow. I don't know what time it is there. Late, I guess. Serbia. Wow. Maryland. Very cool. So exciting to have people from all over the world. Very cool. Awesome. Well, while everyone's trickling in as well, I kind of start as we usually do with just giving a little bit of background on myself. So my name's Kristen Wiley, founder CEO of Statusphere. So we do these webinars once a month. So I know we have a lot of repeat attendees, which I always love seeing, and some new virtual faces as well. But we do these monthly and always around the marketing space, marketing, social media, and influencer marketing space. To educate our current clients and just marketers out there in general. So this will be recorded and sent to you after. So if you're taking notes or worried about that, you will get an email within 24 hours with this recording. So you can feel free to share it with other members of your team or go back and take your notes if you would like. And a little bit about myself is I've been in the influencer marketing space for the last 10 years. So I started right out of college at a PR agency working with different brands on the influencer marketing side. And then I was also a creator myself. So I had a blog and I would work with different brands. And during those 10 years, I used a lot of different platforms, and I couldn't find one that really scaled micro influencer marketing the way that I wanted it. And that's why I created Statusphere. So at Statusphere, we pride ourselves in scaling micro influencer marketing in a fraction of the time. So the big problems that we solve for that I also experienced and that I build Statusphere to solve for is that it was really hard to get a bunch of micro influencers posting at once because it's just hard to find enough. It's not streamlined. It's not scalable. The current process is out there. It's really hard to prove ROI, and it's really hard to even reuse that content in different ways, like in paid ads. So with Statusphere, we scale all of that in the fraction of the time. So we take that 70 hours, we turn it into 1 hour. And instead of only getting a few pieces of content, we can get hundreds of pieces of content and guaranteed content at scale. So if you are interested in chatting with us, we're always here to see if we're a good fit for any of your brands if you're looking for a platform to help you scale that category. And then also, if you are interested in and like the content that you see here and that I'm putting out, also I'm always posting on LinkedIn to make sure that we're on the cutting edge of what's happening. When Threads came out, we published some content on that. When TikTok Reels, any updates in that realm. Definitely, if you want to stay up to date, you can click that link to follow me on LinkedIn. That's the best place to stay up to date there. And yeah, feel free to connect with me too. Just say that you saw me on the webinar and I'll connect with you as well. But yeah, so jumping into it, a little bit more about Statusphere. We just hit 75,000 brand creator matches, so we're pretty excited about that. So we've definitely hit that micro influencer marketing at scale. But what we're going to cover on the webinar today. So this is one of our most popular webinars. We actually did it back in September of last year, and it was so popular, a lot of people wanted us to do an updated version. So that's what we're doing here. And so we're going to cover why TikTok and Reels are more valuable than ever for brands, whether you should invest more in Reels or TikTok or both for your brand, proven short form video ideas to engage viewers and get that reach out there. And then some examples of how brands are driving sales with TikTok and Reels and how we're seeing our brands drive sales with those channels as well. So jumping into it. So part one, so why TikToks and Reels are more valuable than ever. This is probably not surprising to anyone on the call, but social is in every part of the sales funnel now. The sales journey is not a linear line. People are jumping in and out of all these categories, going from awareness to discovery, evaluation, back to awareness all the time. But I think the one constant is that social media plays a part in every single piece of this phase. So people watch a short form video, they become aware of a problem they didn't know they had. I know I am so guilty of this scrolling on TikTok. I will constantly see like, oh, I didn't even know I had this problem, or there was a solution to it. And I become aware. That's the awareness category. Then you go and search. And so then you might go over to Google and search, and then you might go back to TikTok and search, and you might go through that process as you're going through this intent to purchase category. You then see ads where you'll get, retargeted on social media. So you'll be on Facebook and you'll get those retargeting ads, or on Instagram. And then now you can even purchase directly within the apps themselves. So TikTok has obviously rolled out and invested a ton in their new checkout process. And then on Instagram, you also have their Instagram shops as well. And then even through to the loyalty stage, then people share their experience with their product, which then starts this journey all over again for someone else. So I think it's really important to understand that social media is not, just brand awareness. It's part of all of these phases. And we're going to talk a lot more about that in this presentation as well. And then social video drives engagement. We've been talking about social video. I remember in 2011 it being like, social video is the future. We are now in 2023, and I feel like it finally fully came to fruition. But I think really the short form video is what consumers want, which is why these platforms are really tailoring their product to that. So consumers spend 45 minutes daily on social platforms with short form videos. So you can really see how it's taking the spot of what really television used to be, right? So people used to, watch television, see the ads. Now people are spending that time on social platforms instead. Marketers say short form video is the most effective marketing trend with the highest ROI, according to a survey done by HubSpot. And then 62% of consumers want to see real people before making a decision. And that's what I think really the secret sauce of these short form videos is. They're raw, they're real. People don't want, it's a reaction to all that published or super polished content that Instagram used to be. Now it's like everyone wants that raw TikTok content, even reels. It's a real person that you can connect with, that you want to purchase because they seem trustworthy, right? And then 84% of people say they were convinced to buy a product based on a brand's video. So people are seeking out those videos, and then it really pushes them over the edge to make that purchase as well. And no surprise, on our platform, we saw short form video was the highest category of what marketers were putting their spend into, with TikTok Reels being at the top of it. And between the two, we saw almost 40, 35, 38, can't do math here, million plays between both of them last year, just on our platform alone. So social is the new search. This is something, if you've been in my webinars in the last few months, that we've been talking a lot about. And that's because I think it's one of the most exciting things that's happened in marketing in a long time. Google has had a monopoly for many years now in the search category, and it's starting to shift. So 40% of Gen Z prefer Reels and TikTok to Google for everyday searches. So what does that mean from a marketer's perspective is that when you're looking at how you're spending on that discovery phase of that funnel that what I was just showing, social should be a big part of it, because people are going to TikTok, going to Reels instead of Google. So you need to make sure your brand is ranking in those. And the only way to get ranking in those platforms, other than getting a paid placement, if you want to organically rank, you need to be investing in creators posting about you, and you posting on these platforms as well, so that you can rank for those keywords. So these social apps are becoming the modern search engines for product discovery. And it's becoming crucial if you want those branded visibility searches. So I'll talk about a little bit in this presentation about ways to optimize this later in the presentation, especially in the section of driving sales. But we do have a whole webinar on it as well, and some materials. So I'll have our producer of the webinar, Sam, if you want to throw some of those in the chat as well. So short form video ads pay off big. So this is another reason people are investing so much, and marketers are investing so much in this. So ads are part of a seamless scrolling experience of TikTok and Reels. So when done right, they don't feel like ads. You've probably all experienced it where you're scrolling, and if it is a really engaging, authentic TikTok or Reels ad, you don't even realize it's an ad, and you get sucked in right away. And that's how it really should feel. It should not feel like a polished, produced advertisement. 52% of users say they find new products from ads on TikTok. And Instagram offers the second highest return on ad spend of any platform for B2C brands when it comes to that as well. And then, so now getting into like the similarities and differences of TikToks and Reels so that you can really figure out where your brands should be investing. So in general, TikTok platform is almost entirely video based. They are trying some different things over time, but video is really its bread and butter. Instagram Reels format is part of a larger content strategy. So the biggest high level difference is that, people go to TikTok just for the videos. People go to Instagram for a lot of different things. So you have in feed, you have stories, you have Reels. So it's a little bit different user experience of what they're looking for on both of those platforms. Instagram lets both brands and creators tag products in their videos as of 2023. So I think that's really exciting for brands. We've all been waiting for this, right? You could always tag static photos, but now you can actually tag products in videos or brands in videos. And then both platforms' shopping features are rapidly evolving. So the TikTok shop enables product tagging and links. So I know they're really pushing that. They've done some evolutions, and different countries actually have different availabilities of what the TikTok shop has. And then on Instagram, they have also invested in their shop platform as well. But we've been waiting for this as well. Instagram has officially, as of July 1st, I believe, rolled out the fee for if people do shop through that platform. They've been waiving that fee for the last couple of years, I think, to get adoption, and they did just add that fee back, which I think is going to make business owners and just overall marketers have to understand how that affects how they're using their Instagram shop. So what do TikTok and Reels have in common? So both are short form video. You can see by the feeds here that, Reels is carbon copy of what really TikTok looks like. Now we have, Threads and Twitter, so we know that Meta is known for this. So very similar in terms of the way the user experience is when you're like searching a hashtag, and then overall when you're seeing those results. You also don't need a large following to go viral. What I think is so great about both TikTok and Reels is that authenticity and great content wins. It's not about follower count. It's about great content. So typically your reach on a video on TikTok and Reels goes well beyond your follower count, which is why working with micro influencers works so well for this channel. They're both entertaining, original video content, and it's served based on users' interests and previous engagements. I think TikTok is a little bit better at this because I don't know, just their algorithm just seems more tuned in. Reels is still, I think, working on getting that a little bit more with people's interests. And then getting into that, focus on recommendation count, not follower count. So I think just in terms of when you're working with creators and even as a brand, what I think is so powerful about TikTok and Reels is like even little brands can go viral. I think it's 83% of viral videos on TikTok are from regular everyday people, like non-verified accounts. So it really is all about consistency and good content over time. So the differences now, to flip to the other side, in terms of content, tone, and style. So TikTok, you have very dependent on trends. That would be, I think, the main theme of TikTok. There's trends that just very quickly evolve, right? Music, skits, humor. Reels is a little bit more evergreen. There's more how-tos. There's more product demos. There's a little more polish on Reels as well. Also TikTok, yeah, very informal, raw. It looks like somebody just like got done with a run and then they're just talking to you and there's weird stuff happening behind them, and somehow it just makes it all just more authentic, right? But Reels is a little more informal than their feed section, but definitely a little more commercial like than compared to TikTok. And then the differences between TikTok and Reels by the demographics. So I'd like to keep a close eye on this because it's definitely been shifting. If we just think even 2 years ago, TikTok was skewed almost like really heavily lower in terms of age range, but you can see it's still favors the Gen Z audience, but you can see some of the other audiences have still come up. Instagram does have that little bit older audience as well. So I think this is where it comes down to if you have limited resources at your brand and you have to pick one to spend time on, this is a good place to start and be like, where's our audience more? On top of also where is our product going to perform best, which we'll get to as well. Obviously, if you have enough resources, putting both into both, if your audience is on both, is great, but this is something important to look at. The differences between TikTok and Reels when it comes to ads. So on Reels, Reels is one of Instagram's most popular ad formats. So it sees high recall, engagement, and performance. I feel like this is where Instagram really wins in terms of their ads are just so sophisticated compared to TikTok's, and that's just because TikTok is such a younger platform. But TikTok is catching up very quickly, and they've been rolling out tons of new targeting features. But Instagram just has such a robust targeting because of the connection to Facebook and all the data that they have, that I think that that's where there really is a little more leverage in terms of targeting on Instagram. But you can see the difference here just as a breakdown of like budget ranges and kind of what you're seeing from a CPC perspective on both of these platforms. And then comparing TikTok and Reels on a few other dimensions. So just the global audience. So TikTok is over 1 billion. Global audience of Reels is 1.35 billion as of 2023. So TikTok caught up pretty quick to Reels, pretty crazy. But Reels still wins out slightly. On TikTok, TikTokers spend 56 minutes a day on the app per day on average, where on Instagram Reels, they spend about 30 minutes per day on the app. So a little bit longer on TikTok. And then the largest age group on TikTok is that 18 to 24. Very close behind it is the next, that 25 to 34 category. And it does skew female on TikTok. And then Instagram actually skews male ever so slightly. On TikTok, it's a very community-driven interface, so it's important to remember that, you know, it's one big community and culture, and this is where I think brands can really tap in to that. So if you take the time to understand the communities on TikTok, like it's just incredible how you can build a community of your own. I mean, there are such niche communities for things like, you know, book talk for people that love books, but not even that. Even within that, there's subcategories as well. There's clean talk, which is like people that just love looking at cleaning videos. Like it's really incredible the different communities that are created and sub communities within TikTok. Instagram Reels is a little different because it was all based on your followers and your friends. The communities are a little more siloed, and there's not as much of a general community in general. TikTok, in terms of just how long a video can be, they're now allowing you to post up to a 10-minute vertical video. And Reels, the IG limits Reels length to 90 seconds with music, but you can upload up to a 15-minute video as well. So that's just something to keep in mind. They're both going to that longer format. And then on TikTok, the staying power is slightly longer. If it's an evergreen post, then Reels is still what we're seeing, but Reels is starting to get up there. So what I mean by that is if you post a TikTok today, you could actually still be getting loops from it 6 months later if it's evergreen and if it's hit the right audience. Reels, the very first 2 days is important. It still has a longer shelf life than a feed post, for example, and obviously a story, but tends to have still a shorter shelf life than TikTok. But I feel like they're starting to switch that a little bit. TikTok does one thing really well. We talked about this already. Video, bread and butter, where Reels, Instagram just has a lot going on in general. So you kind of have to think about, you know, how does this look with the rest of my feed of my static posts and my other pieces of my Instagram strategy, my stories. And then on TikTok, searching is made easy. So TikTok is really leaning into this search, which I think is so smart. With that stat that I showed earlier about 40% of Gen Z and millennials searching TikTok before they search Google. TikTok is leaning into this and creating amazing filters and searches. If you have not searched on TikTok, I highly recommend it. Also, if you have a brand, search for the keywords around your brand and see if you're coming up and see who is coming up and what type of content's being put out there. Because that's a really great way to get inspo of what content you should be creating. On Reels, people are still using it for search, but I feel like it still isn't as good as TikTok is, and because they're not leaning as hard into it. Like we said, Instagram has a lot going on, so we'll see when they start investing in it. I don't doubt that they will, but they don't have as many of the fancy filters that TikTok has. And like I said, we do have that whole webinar on the social SEO. So if you want a full deep dive, definitely watch that webinar. Until a few other differences. So the trend driven versus the aesthetics, which I talked about. TikTok is also a lot more music driven than Reels, where Reels was a little slower to add those music options. It's now getting better, but it's not as music driven. TikTok is obviously a lot more music driven because it evolved from the platform called Musical.ly, which was all music driven. So that's just another difference in terms of the content that people are expecting on the platform. The most common question that we always get is, can I post the same content on TikTok and Reels? Which, like, obviously would be amazing for marketers, is to be able to repurpose content as much as possible, which you should be doing. But it is important to remember all the things I just went over, because they are so different that there should be a nuance to your posting. So here's an example of, I think Athletic Greens is the company. They posted the same content, but slightly different captions, slightly different editing, just so that they could fit the audience slightly better on both. So that's what we recommend, not just carbon copy and posting it, because they are different communities on both of those platforms. So now for a TikTok deep dive. So on TikTok, like we said, if your audience is Gen Z, I don't think it's negotiable that you have to be on TikTok, and that is where you should put most of your resources if your resources are limited. Gen Zers spend an average of 10 hours per week on TikTok. They prefer TikTok to Google to finding products information, and 39% of Gen Z say they're more likely to purchase products they discovered on TikTok than ones that they discover elsewhere. So if you are a marketer and you're like, I have limited resources, I don't know which one to pick, and your audience is mainly Gen Z, then I think TikTok would be the way to go. And opposite if it is the slightly older audience for Instagram. TikTok content can go viral just about any industry. So this is where I think also, when you're getting into, now we're talking about the actual product and looking at your product, it's just incredible to me how quote unsexy products from a marketing perspective go viral on TikTok. I mean, there are the pink stuff. If you've seen that cleaner, it's literally just like cleaning. It's like just a cleaning uh, uh, paste, and it went viral, and it's like people are just doing tons and tons of content around it. That is not really something you'd really think of from a marketing perspective as a sexy product. One of the brands that we work with a lot of publishing companies, and they'll be launching books. Books do incredibly well on TikTok. Also, in terms of like eco-friendly, like if you get into those audiences like we're talking about, like this screenshot from another eco-friendly alternative to paper towel company, blew up on TikTok because it's finding those people and solving a problem they didn't even know they had, kind of what we were talking about. We worked with one that was like a drain company, or like a drain cover, and they had a few of them go viral. I mean, it's just incredible how, if you are solving a pain point and creating content that educates, and I'll go through some of the recommendations of categories of content, you can really strike a chord with that. So TikTok is the go-to app for product discovery. So TikTokers are more likely to recommend, share, and buy products discovered on the app versus any other network. Over half of TikTokers have purchased something they saw on the app. I know I think I saw some people in the audience saying they're guilty. I purchased so many things on that app. And what's interesting is, like, we all know it's on average 7 to 10 touches before someone actually converts, right? But what I think is so incredible about TikTok is it's like they have like your full audio, like your full attention looking at this video. And it's almost like a heavier weighted touch when it comes from that third party that's talking about it. So I think it's really incredible. And that's why they're seeing such great results in terms of conversions. And then creators help brands on TikTok increase their favorability, their brand recommendation, and the purchase intent overall. So I think that in terms of TikTok also, and investing in your own TikTok versus also partnering with creators are the way to go, because of all the things that we talked about. Because you have to be creating lots of content. It's a numbers game. It's a numbers game in terms of content, but then it's a follower count doesn't really matter. So you can partner with tons of micro influencers to help you in all of these categories. And then shopping hashtags across TikTok have billions of views. Like, it's incredible. Like, people are going there to shop. Hashtag TikTok made me buy it has 58 billion views. Amazon finds product review. So it's just like, that is almost a community within itself on TikTok. And here's some examples of brands taking over TikTok. Crumble Cookies has gotten some really great press for how they took on some of these like really big companies and just allowed themselves to really blow up. They partnered with tons of their actual consumers to create user-generated content, posting about their product, and encouraging people to use hashtag crumble review. And they like use their army of actual customers to just blow up on TikTok. Super cool. Another one is Milk Makeup. They empower customers, creators, and influencers to share content via hashtag live your look and hashtag Milk Makeup. It has over 738 million tags. They take advantage of post previews, and they clue viewers in on what they're going to learn. So you can see here like some of that like really smart about how they're even like taking the screen grab of what you're seeing before you go into it, because they know people are searching for that, which once again, that's where optimizing your content all the way through is really important. They also organize videos into distinct playlists, which is really cool. So TikTok has a playlist feature, which you can actually roll through different types of content. So they have one on tutorials, one on product types, to help people find what they're looking for, which I think is also an underutilized part of the TikTok platform. Another great brand is Elf Cosmetics. So they lean into comedy, and they pull together some really fun and edutainment videos, and they publish a steady balance of creator content and original brand content. And I do recommend a lot of the best way to come up with inspo for your brand is following brands. So that's what I like to do, why we like to show so many example brands killing it, so that you can follow those brands and take inspiration from them. So now jumping into the Reels deep dive. So Instagram is now becoming more video focused. The big shift happened a couple years ago when they launched Reels. They really favored that, but a lot of the data is showing that it's what consumers want, so it makes sense. So it's doubled down on its video features. Time spent on Instagram is up 24% in 2023 since Meta updated its Reels recommendation algorithm. So like we said, they're trying to catch up with TikTok and get that recommendation algorithm going. And then Reels earned the most reach and likes compared to stories, static posts, and carousels. So once again, if you have limited bandwidth of what to focus on in terms of on Instagram, Reels is the place to go. And here's the data that supports that. So how different types of content perform on Instagram. So this is content by distribution. So you can see here is that the Reels, which is this like red color, has the largest reach, distribution, likes distribution, and comments distribution, despite being the actual one of the smaller amounts of content. So they're actually getting most of the likes and reach, even though it's only 22% of the content. So that's why brands should really be investing in Reels when it comes to the content types here. So Reels make it easier to reach social shoppers. So 44% of consumers shop on Instagram weekly. Product tags make Reels more shoppable. So now if you do have an Instagram shop, you can link those product tags. Instagram is testing the ability for brands to add UGC to their shops, which will be super cool, and I think really help that shopping experience. And then 78% of consumers say that Instagram creators are influential in helping them discover new brands. So some examples of brands that are doing Reels right. You have Fourth Ray Beauty here. So some screenshots of their account. Reels almost exclusively feature creators and unpolished content that show the products off. So multiple tutorials around the hashtag oddly satisfying product videos with over 100,000 views. They have fun colors and playful tone. And they also really lean into that how-to as well. Another brand here is Smart Sweets. They post UGC and meme style videos. Then they like piggyback off of those Reels trends. So Reels presence is like playful, colorful, but still off the cuff, and high engagement relative to their follower account. So it's really cool once again to see follower count doesn't matter as much. So if your boss is telling you I want to get more followers on these platforms, there is so much data to say that that should not be what you're optimizing for. You should really be optimizing for the reach and consistency of posting so that you can amplify your reach on these platforms in general. Another one is Cotopaxi, is that how you say that? Highlights product and creative outdoor settings. They do that same UGC combo. They showcase customers and creators, ambassadors, so that like real people that you can imagine yourself in those situations. So next is what to post on TikTok and Reels and what's trending. So product reviews and showcases. So this is one of the easiest, I think, categories for a brand to create content around, is just doing product reviews and showcasing the product. What's great is that people actually want to watch this content and see people's unfiltered product review reactions, like first time trying this drink, first time doing a taste test, first time, all of those type of things. If you have a product who has a really compelling before and after, that can also be really great content as well. Next is product discoveries and hacks. So I discovered this, like, let me show you my favorite purchase of 2023 thus far. That's this first video here. It already has me hooked. I want to go watch the video, right? Product hacks, how do you clean the space under your toilet seat? Like, I'm about to go clean that. And here's the product I use for it. Once again, this is another good example of unsexy, unsexy products going viral. And then here, Chick-fil-A spicy chicken burrito taste test. People love taste tests, love being pulled into that, unboxing mentality of like, what is their reaction going to be? So this is another great category. Day in the life videos. So this is where really great for working with creators. People love to watch day in life videos and see how other people live, what's their morning routine, their get ready with me. What do I eat in a day? What's your fitness routine? What's your skincare routine look like? These are really great ways to incorporate organically your product into the content as well. And I do want to note that as I'm going through these, like, the way that I recommend brands do it is take each of these categories, and when you're creating your content calendar for these, try to put things into different buckets of these, so it helps you, come up with new content ideas. Unboxing. So just like I said in the last one, just like you want to see what's going to happen, you want to see what's in that box. So like just even unboxing your products, it can be really great content. You don't need to optimize it to be a very long video. It can be a short, simple video. We find actually a lot of our short videos are the ones that go viral. So just in terms of thinking about the audience and what they're getting out of it and kind of leaning into that as well. So you have like gifted unboxings, review unboxings, and then I've seen time-lapse unboxings where you actually like time-lapse your camera if it's like a more complicated one to unpackage. Hauls is another really easy one to incorporate your product right into it. So it's a fashion haul, beauty haul. You can even do, grocery store haul, all of those different things. Another popular one is called empties, where a creator or a person shows like, here's all the products that I actually got to empty the bottle on, which means they're actually really good. Because we all know we buy products and you only use half of it. So the concept is like, if I'm showing all my empties for the month, these are all the products that I love. And people love watching those. How to and explainer videos. So explaining how your product works, explaining what's in your product, explaining, how to use your product, style inspiration, all of those type of things as well, that edutainment category. And finding Reels and TikTok trends. Here is some tips for doing that. So if you go on Reels, there's like upward pointing arrow that denotes trending audio when you go into that trending audio section. So that allows you to know like, oh, maybe I should create some content around that. Also, the @creators account on Instagram shows weekly trend reports. So I recommend following that so that you can really see those. And then on TikTok, find business-friendly trending audio via the TikTok Creative Center. It has really great resources there and also great inspiration to look at. On TikTok, you can also look at trending filters and effects and formats in your feed. And then another tip is to watch closely at what trends on TikTok, because those trends often make their way to Instagram in a week or two, which is just another point to kind of the differences between the two platforms. Very often trends will start on TikTok and bleed over to Instagram, but very rarely do trends start on Instagram and bleed to TikTok, which I think is also just another ode to the culture that TikTok has created. So how to promote your brand via short form video. So number one, optimize your accounts. So promote your brand hashtag to promote and collect user generated content. You might even be getting UGC and you don't even know it because there's no way for you to capture that. So if people aren't tagging you or you're not even asking for it, there's like a opportunity right there. So always recommend like just even asking people to post about you and say like, hey, post about us, use hashtag this, is a great way to just like get the word out there, have a call to action in general. Point viewers to relevant promotions within your TikTok and Instagram bios. So you can put those links in there so that they can find them very easily. Making sure also that whatever links you're putting in there are mobile optimized. I can't tell you how often I like click on the link and it's broken or it's hard to navigate or it's going to the wrong thing. Like it's, for some reason, as a marketer, I know it's so easy to forget to go look at those links and make sure, are they outdated? Is everything good there? So looking at that is really important. If you're reposting creator content, tag creators to maximize your reach. Obviously, always get their permission to repost their content, but then I see brands post it and they don't even tag them. Make sure to tag them. A lot of times they'll reshare it to their story because they're so excited. So just like another simple little, not even hack, but just easy how to get more reach out of reposting creator content. And then post regularly and engage with comments, tags to maximize your reach. So if people are commenting, respond to every single comment, like create a conversation, ask questions back. Like not only does that create that human connection, but it also will provide more reach for your post. Optimize your accounts for social search. So incorporate relevant product related terms and phrases into your videos, captions, and bios. So make sure that inside of your caption, you have some sort of phrase in there so that people could find it later, right? So publish content with captions and thumbnails that preview your videos instead of just a random shot. So you'll notice if you want to optimize for social search, go search some of those keywords, like I said earlier, see who's ranking, see what those cover photos are, because as you see here, like they're actually show you the cover photo, and that's how I decide which one I'm going to click on and how your users are going to decide which one to click on. So an important thing to note here, though, is that social captions are not blog posts. And so don't try to stuff them with keywords into your content. And you shouldn't do that with blog posts either. But I know keyword stuffing used to be a big thing when you did traditional SEO on blogs. They're smart enough to not to know that this is not what's working. Because what happens is, just like normal SEO on Google, if you rank for something like best concealer for dry skin, for example, and then people start clicking on it and the content's not about that, it's going to not get views and then you're going to fall off. So you want to make sure what your caption says is aligned with what your actual content is, or it's not going to work. So publish content consistently to feed the algorithm, because that's another thing. It wants to show fresh new content. So consistency is such a big part of short form video, is posting consistent content. And then one tip is that high volume of creator content featuring your brand name can boost these rankings much faster, because like I said, the algorithm, each person who searches, we're all seeing slightly different search results, but at the same time, it's looking for people that it thinks we relate to. So the more people you have posting, the more hooks you have in the water to pull your brand up on these social searches. So also mind how you feature products in videos. If you have a TikTok or Instagram shop, make sure to take advantage of product tagging, because you already have that shop up there. You might as well take advantage of that. If possible, show products off from multiple angles. Having your brand name typed out or spoken is also a plus. And then include a call to action in your posts when relevant. But once again, mind your captions and which details are most compelling about your products, because if it's too long of a caption, then it's also that isn't compelling. It's just also losing people as well. And then one tip that we wanted to note here, because we found it really interesting, we did a test with coupon codes and brands using coupon codes. So we compared our brands that use coupon codes in their TikToks and short form videos versus brands that didn't. And the brands that use coupon codes, it actually limited the reach on average of ones that didn't. And I think that makes sense, because it just takes away from the authenticity and makes it feel more like an ad. So it is tracking is a challenge overall, but coupon codes are just a rough way to track anyways. We do have a whole webinar also on tracking ROI of specifically influencer marketing in general, where we also dive more into that. But just an interesting thing to note, because I know it's so tempting to want to give everyone a coupon code to track, but really think about, is this actually giving me accurate tracking data? Because we all know people just search for whatever coupon's cheapest anyways. And also it's going to limit your reach overall. So jumping into the next tips for promoting content and TikTok and Reels. So IG Reels, so cross-post your content to your main feed and announce your latest Reels via stories. Super easy way to get the maximize your reach on Instagram. If you make a Reel, just make sure to post it to your story. You'll instantly get more of a reach and more of a bump from it. Instagram encourages the creators to focus on creating engaging content versus worrying too much about duration. So once again, don't try to optimize for a certain amount of minutes, seconds, whatever. It's just all about that engaging content and that hook into the video. And then fair game to post Reels multiple times a week, depending on your bandwidth. I know back in the day, people were like, how often should you post them? So most of the brands that are seeing the best results are posting multiple times a week. And then on TikTok, the optimal length for a TikTok is between 21 and 34 seconds. This is a study that was on Wired with analyzing a bunch of different videos, that was the sweet spot that they found. Like I said, we've seen viral videos at many different lengths, but it does make sense that sometimes the shorter ones would have that higher chance to go viral in general. Videos of this length are seeing a 1.6% lift in impressions, so that 21 to 34-second range. And then daily posting is fair game depending on your bandwidth. So TikTok has actually come out, I think, multiple times saying like, post daily, like that's what we're wanting, which I know also as a marketer, you're like, oh my God, that's a lot of content, which is why I recommend working with creators or having some other form of being able to generate content to fill those spots with. And then the last bullet here is use trending sounds and effects. More than 93% of top performing videos use audio in general. So 93%. So should definitely be using audio in your videos. Then short form videos favor creators. So that's kind of been an underlying theme here as well, because that short form content, you just need so much of it. And people just relate to all the creators out there. It's just feeds into that relatable content. So like the stat, I mentioned the stat earlier in the presentation, but 83% of viral TikTok videos are from non-verified accounts. So not people with the blue check that are fancy, famous creators and influencers, just more everyday, regular people are the ones going viral. And I'm sure you've all seen it in your feed. It's just like a person who you don't know this person as a famous person, and they have just created a piece of relatable content that you relate to, that you like, and that you share with your friends. 56% of people would rather follow everyday people on social media than celebrities because of their authentic content. And then micro influencers are the most cost effective and have the best engagement overall. So it just makes sense from an investment standpoint. Also, if you have, if you're looking to spend your dollars somewhere, micro influencers are the best category to spend them on. 65% of TikTok users enjoy when creator posts about a product or brand, and 35% discover products or brands from creators. So, people are going to TikTok and Reels to actually shop as well. So part 5, so how creators maximize your short form video campaigns. So they have greater reach and engagement, which we just covered. So brands rarely go viral on videos, especially on TikTok. It's mainly creators. So social algorithms will prioritize creator accounts over brand accounts. So that's why it's so important to have that creator strategy as part of your, or creator channel as part of your strategy. Ads and branded posts featuring creators perform better on both platforms. One stat here is that partnering with creators boosts video impressions by 193%. And I've even seen several times where a creator posts a video and a brand posts it, and they look at the reach. Even if they have similar follower counts, it's always the creators that get more engagement consistently in that category. And then creators just know best. So creators are up to date on the latest trends and formats that attract viewers. So working with creators consistently is one of the best ways to fill that content calendar with awesome, engaging, authentic content. So that's why we see so many brands come to us and they're like, I just want an always on campaign of creators posting, so I have content that I can pull from to repost on my channel. And I just know, like, over time, doing that over months and years, like, it causes a snowball effect in general for your own account as well. But it allows you to really increase the bandwidth of your team by relying and partnering with creators. They know also how to show off products creatively, because they're creators after all. And creator content, mentoring coupon codes, like I said, doesn't perform as well if you're optimizing for reach. And then creators are invested in the content they promote to their followers, because they want it to reach as many people as possible too, because they want their audience to see it too. So it's a really great, kind of checks and balance system when you're working with great creators. And then there's even more data to support this on the advertising side. So this is something that I think that a lot of brands, they'll put their influencer marketing and their micro influencer marketing initiatives inside of like their social media department, but there's so much opportunity to take that content and move it over to your performance team, because if you use user generated content in your performance ads, it performs way better than non-creator content. So for example, TikTok ads featuring creator partnerships have an 83% higher engagement rate versus non-creator ads. So when you're looking at this, it kind of makes you think like, why would I run any ads without having using creators and user generated content in it. And the same is on TikTok, or on the same of TikTok is also on Reels. There's a 15% increase on return on ad spend when running creator strategies with business as usual strategies. On this was Meta that came out saying this as well. So both Meta and TikTok know that they want your ads to perform the best, and the way to get your ads to perform best is to use creator content. So this is something that we talked to our brands about a lot as well, is making sure to maximize that ROI of your content, that you're partnering with your performance team and you're using that. And if your team isn't big enough to have a performance team on it, you can look at outsourcing it or things like that. I know platforms like Marketer Hire have lots of different options where you can hire somebody to help you run those performance pieces as well. And brands can get even more mileage out of creator campaigns through allow listing and reposting. So there's a whole section even within the ads called allow listing. On TikTok, it's called Spark ads, where you can actually run ads even using the creator handle, which have even more upside for giving you return on ad spend and ultimately more ROI for your influencer campaigns. And then, yeah, I think somebody was saying I do use creators and influencers interchangeably. Creators typically, as somebody who's a blogger myself, I did not like most creators don't like being called influencers, but most marketers call them influencers. So it's a little funny to go back and forth, but I do use those terms interchangeably. So good call out. I'll make that note just so everyone knows. But creators boost your social SEO. So we've talked about this now a couple times in the presentation, but creators are the best way to get ranking in social search. And I have a little case study at the end of this presentation with one of the brands that we worked with that was able to get ranking for several keywords just using creators. So creator volumes of content, think hundreds of posts help brands, rank for relevant terms faster. So creator content dominates social search results. See for yourself, definitely go and even search for a few keywords and see what comes up. Definitely write down some keywords of what people would be searching for that you want your brand to show up for. And type those in, see who's showing up, see what content's there. That's also a great way to come up with ideas for your creative briefs when you're working with creators as well, to get them ranking too. So and then captions and thumbnails, optimizing those. But creators can overall provide a call to action with next steps where to buy, like find this at Target or something like that. And then it helps, just bring people through your funnel. So next part, so how to drive sales on TikTok and Reels with creators and how we've done it. So these are getting into more specific case studies, because like I said, I feel like the best way to learn is to see how other brands are doing it. So I want to jump into that. So when you think about driving sales and just overall maximizing ROI, I like to show this graphic. So there's lots of ways to take your content and make the most of it, and take influencer content and make the most of it. So here's all the different ways here. You have organic, you have paid, you can repost it on your website product pages. So like the as seen on TikTok. That's why even Amazon's been leaning into that as well and putting video content. Affiliate, social SEO, reposting on your brand social, and then using it in your email marketing and content as well. So these are all ways to maximize your influencer marketing ROI over time. And I'm also going to go through how our brands are doing it specifically with those TikTok and Reels. So one example is building brand awareness and social SEO. So raising awareness for new products, promotions, and sales, making sure your website and storefront is optimized for that mobile traffic. And then creator content on TikTok and Reels serves as an immediate social proof and helps shoppers feel more comfortable about potential purchases. I know personally, so many times I'll want to buy a product, but if I want to see a real person using it, or I won't buy it because I'm like, is this real? Is this actually what I want? I always search TikTok and Instagram to see if I can just see real people talking about the product. And I think what's interesting about this too is if people's honest reviews are more important than everything being great. Like I would rather see five-star great videos and one person being like, I like this, but I didn't like this, and that makes it totally okay too, because that makes it more real and I actually feel better about buying the product. And then shoppers get to see that product in action. So an example is Ulla Henriksen. So working with them with micro influencers, we were able to get 4.3 million out of their 19 million branded hashtags. So they did combination of big macro influencers with micros and really grew their TikTok following organically through creator content. So it was really cool to work with them on that. And over 18 months, we really were able to see how big the reach was with that over 4 million views and really seeing that uptick and lift overall. Another example of how to really, maximize and drive sales with TikTok and Reels is with in-store sales. So I think that this is also something that is underutilized if you have brick and mortar retailers selling your products. So if you're in a Target, if you're in a Whole Foods, if you're in a Walmart, you can actually, really increase your foot traffic into those if you're showing content where creators are telling where you can find it, and you're showing real people walking into the store to get it. So that type of content performs incredibly well also on TikTok and Reels. So kind of like, go shopping with me, like, let's go to Walmart and see what I find, or I went to Walmart and found this really cool thing. So we worked with Real Good Foods on a campaign, sending creators into the store and creating a ton of content of them walking in, getting their frozen foods out of the frozen food section. So it even shows people where to get it on the shelves as well. And we saw really great results from that. I think what's also cool about sending creators into the store is that, and doing retail support campaigns in general, is it's a great way to build a relationship with your retailers. So a lot of our brands will actually take our reports and give them straight to their retailer to build that relationship. So just another piece too, that your social media team can kind of help your sales team and help some of your other teams as well. And then that example I wanted to show you about ranking in social search. One of our brands, after 8 months and over 600 pieces of content, they're ranking for several keywords. They're a shampoo bar, and when you I wanted to say Google, but I guess TikTok search a bunch of different keywords, they actually come up for that, which is super cool to see. And now they're really seeing that lift in traffic and sales overall from this. And it's becoming much more of an evergreen channel from them and creating that snowball effect, similar to the way traditional SEO did in the past. And some stats that support that is, like, when asked how they want to learn about a product, 73% of consumers say they watch a short form video. And then, as a reminder, that 40% of young people, so Gen Z and millennial, are in that bucket, are searching on Instagram and TikTok over Google. And then collecting user-generated content in general. So hashtag Glow Recipe is a great one. You can see how they've built awareness, and how that they have built so much UGC around that hashtag as well. Crocodile cloth is another really interesting one. This kind of goes into, I guess, technically a more unsexy product. They're like giant baby wipes, but creators absolutely love them, and like, they're an amazing product. So they've seen really great results, and you can look up their branded hashtag, and they have just tons of content of people posting about them. And then as we wrap up, so I'm getting to the end here, and then I'll open it up for a few questions. We always like to do a few what's trending right now on TikTok and Reels. So we'll send out a link to these videos for your teams, but I'd love to leave you guys with some inspo if you're trying to think about some content to create right now, or how you can actually create TikTok and Reels content applying some of the cool trends that are out there. So here's some TikTok trends that are happening right now. CapCut is a very popular app for creating videos, and there's almost always a CapCut trending. So if you haven't looked into that, I recommend it. This one here is of a little running duck right now, and it's running to get a sale or running to get free samples. So it works really well for brands to play in on this trend. The second one here is the light work, no reaction sound. I'll let it speak for itself because it's a little complicated to explain, but Scrub Daddy is always up on the trends. So if you're looking for a fun TikTok account to follow also that gives you some inspo, Scrub Daddy is a great one. And then another trend that's happening right now is the Miley Cyrus sound. It's like a clip from when she was on the Hannah Montana show, and people are using it to talk about when they think they have enough of something and they need more of it, which works really great for brands as well. So you can see Uniqlo use that here as well. So if you click that button, you can actually watch them, because I know watching them is much better than me explaining them. So if you click that button, you can share that with your social team, or if you are the social team, it'll give you some inspo. And then here is 3 trending things on TikTok, on Reels. TikTok was the last one. The bright beige flag trend, very popular. Up close texture videos. Those never go out of style. If you have some sort of texture on your product and doing some sort of slow-mo ASMR type thing. And then another one that's kind of interesting is a canon event, which is the concept of you see someone doing something that may cause them some bumpiness in your life, but you realize that needs to happen for their life to go a certain direction. Anyways, watch the video, it'll make more sense. But some brands are hopping on that trend, and it's been really cool to see that. So as we wrap up here, we will be doing our next webinar on August 16th on optimizing your influencer marketing content engine. So really how to get the best practices for scaling the content, strategies to boost your social search ranking, and how using creator content across multiple channels will support the buyer's journey. So you can scan that QR code. We'll also be able to be sending a link out to register as well. And then as just a reminder, if you want to scale your creator content in a fraction of the time, reach out to Statusphere. We are happy to help show you, give a demo of our platform. So you can click the link here to book a call, and we'll get you set up with a demo to see if our platform is right for you to scale that content up, get ranking in social search, and get you content so you can use it through your whole sales funnel. So with that, I'll open it up to some questions. And I know, Sam, if you see any questions that were farther up, feel free to drop them in again. So um, let's see. Oh, I see one question. How do you keep up with all these while doing a real job ideas? I know our team, we have a whole team that does it, so that's why I'm able to stay up on these trends. But I feel like just making sure your social accounts, you're following some really great brands, and then actually dedicating time to sit on social media and look at those counts, which is, I feel like, a great thing to tell your boss is like, I need to sit on social media for 30 minutes a day and look at these things and actually set aside time to do it. Let's see. How are Reels different from video? I think of them as synonymous. So Reels is just it is a video, but it's just the actual Reels category of Instagram. So it's just that Reels, like you can technically post a video on your story, for example, and you can post a video on your Reels, but Reels are actually that section of your Instagram as well. How many influencers do Real Good Food use? If you want to reach out, we can send you the full case study on that one. I think it was like 75 or 100 for the start of that campaign. So, but you can take a look. Can you use YouTube videos for TikTok or IG? Oh, good question. So I think video content in general can be used, YouTube video content can be used on TikTok or IG. It just needs to be edited correctly. And I think it's also important to know that sometimes, depending on how your YouTube video is shot, it could be very polished, which may not perform super well. So it really depends on what the YouTube content looks like. But I have seen some YouTubers be really successful in splicing YouTube content and hiring someone to do it, to splice it up and then repost it in a way that is digestible for TikTok and Reels as well. What about creating your own content as a brand? What tips do you have for that content? Yeah, so just like kind of I mentioned, like staying up on what's happening and following other brands, and then creating a content calendar around it is probably the key, because it takes a lot of energy to put this together, put together video content. So having a consistent amount of content calendar of what you're going to post. Like I'm going to post twice weekly, and I'm going to do one how-to video a week, and I'm going to do one unboxing a week, for example. I feel like that's a really great way if you're just getting started building out your content strategy, is don't bite off more than you can chew. Try to pick those buckets that I went through earlier of the different types of content and create a content calendar around those. And I think we might even have some resources for creating that as well. Sam, don't we have like a guide of like a bunch of content ideas for brands as well. So we can share that too. Would it be better for would it be better for the CEO to do his TikTok rather than his brand? I think this is a big debate in the marketer community, how CEOs are kind of becoming sometimes the voices for their company. But I think at the end of the day, like it just depends also on what personality your CEO has in general. But I do think the brand should have its own account separate. I think it's great if your CEO can post content that you can put on your account. But I think that the brand, this is my own personal opinion, should have its own account from like a shopping and personal perspective. Obviously, if your CEO can help drive traffic to it, great, or even drive sales on their own. But I think that the brand should have its own one, so that when you, from a social search perspective and everything like that, it's very consistent of who people should tag, which I think it would make a lot more sense to tag the brand than it would the CEO when they're posting about you, for example. Oh, and yeah, I saw Sam just dropped in the 60 TikTok Reels and TikTok ebook right there. So has a lot of things there. Let's see. What other, is there any other thing? I can do one more question. Why are the, the algorithms constantly being changed? I think that at the end of the day, just know that the social platform's goal and KPI is to keep people on those platforms as long as possible. So they have teams of people whose entire job is to create an algorithm that keeps people from leaving the platform the platform. So I think that's why they're changing all the time. They do have an incentive to build a platform that the users, TikTok users and Instagram users want. So I think that they're just constantly taking feedback and iterating over time, because that's what, the best companies do in general, is learn and iterate, right? Um, cool. So we're at time. Do you produce your own content as a brand in-house though, or do you work with studios? The studio my company works with does not great at social content, so struggling to find resources. Yeah, feel free to reach out. We can give you some recommendations as well. Uh, uh, our recommendation in terms of using Statusphere is like using our platform to get lots of UGC from creators and then reposting that, and that helps offset some of the studio stuff that you have to do. If you are looking to like build out and get some freelancers or things like that, I know like Marketer Hire has worked for a lot of people too, if you're looking for like just hiring some marketers part-time to help you with some stuff. But yeah, well, it was great meeting with you all again. And as always, if you have ideas of other webinars you'd like for us to cover, topics you want us to cover, or if I didn't get to your question, please respond to my email that'll have this video recap replay in there. And I'll be sure to get back to you and answer any questions that I missed. So anyways, have a great Thursday, and I'll see you all next time.